हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम टू द यूट्यूब चैनल सपोर्ट फॉर एजुकेशन। तो इस वीडियो ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਲਾਸ 12th ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦਾ ਚੈਪਟਰ ਦ ਗੋਲਡ ਫਲੇਮ। ਇਸ ਚੈਪਟਰ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਅਤੇ ਲੌਂਗ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰ। ਦੋਸਤੋ ਧਿਆਨ ਰੱਖੋ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਚੈਪਟਰ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਅਤੇ ਲੌਂਗ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰ ਹੀ ਹੱਲ ਕੀਤੇ ਹਨ। ਜੇ ਆਪ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰੇ ਪਾਰਟ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਥੱਲੇ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਿਪਸ਼ਨ ਬਾਕਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਸ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦਾ ਲਿੰਕ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਪਾਰਟ ਨੂੰ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਅਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਆਪ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ YouTube ਚੈਨਲ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਫॉर ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ नहीं ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰੋ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਨਵੀਆਂ ਵੀਡੀਓਜ਼ ਆਪ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮੇਂ ਸਿਰ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਹੋ ਸਕਣ। ਆਓ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰਸ ਫਰੋਮ ਦ ਚੈਪਟਰ ਦ ਗੋਲਡ ਫਲੇਮ। ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੈ, ਵੇਅਰ ਵਾਸ ਦ ਮਾਡਰਨ ਫਰੇਮਵਰਕਸ ਸਿਚੁਏਟਡ? ਆਨਸਰ ਹੈ, ਇਟ ਵਾਸ ਸਿਚੁਏਟਡ ਇਨ ਦ ਐਮਟੀ ਸਪੇਸ ਬਿਟਵੀਨ ਅ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਸਟੋਰ ਐਂਡ ਅ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਰਿਪੇਅਰ ਸ਼ਾਪ। Question number 2. Who was the owner of the modern frameworks? Answer. The frame maker named Datta was the owner of the modern frameworks. What were the walls of this shop covered with? The walls of this shop were covered with the pictures of gods, saints, hockey players, children, cheap prints of Mona Lisa, national leaders, wedding couples, Urdu calligraphy sheets, the snow-clad Japanese volcano named Fujiyama, etc. What did the customer want? The customer wanted a photograph of his grandfather to be framed. What types of frames did Datta show to the customer? Datta showed the customer a number of frame samples. Those frames were simple, that is plain, decorative, floral, geometrical, thin, hefty, or just enamel painted. What did Datta do to help the customer make his choice? Datta recommended the frame with a large quantity of gold leaves and dwindling creepers to his customer. He told him that it had been imported from Germany. What price did Datta quote for the frame selected by the customer? Datta told the customer that the frame, mount and glass all together would cost 17 rupees. What was Datta's experience about the customers? Datta had experienced that the customers were never punctual in collecting the framed photographs. They either came days in advance and went away disappointed or came months later. Some of them never turned up at all and their pictures lay unclaimed in a box. For whom did Datta make frames? Datta made frames only for those who came to him and visited him at least twice before he actually executed their orders. How did the photograph get damaged? One day, Datta took the photograph in order to frame it. He misplaced his pencil stub. He stood up and violently shook the folds of his dhoti. A tin containing white enamel paint got emptied on the photograph. It got damaged when Datta tried to clean it by removing the paint with a piece of cloth. How did he try to rescue the picture? Datta rubbed the picture so hard with the piece of cloth that he peeled off thin strips of filmy coating from the surface. Thus, the picture was totally damaged and Datta failed to rescue it. What solution did Datta finally come with? Datta thought of putting the old man's double in the golden frame to pass it on to the customer. Why were the days that followed filled with suspense and anxiety? The actual photograph had been spoiled. It had been replaced by another man's picture. There was every possibility of the replacement being detected. So the days that followed were filled with suspense and anxiety because Datta was fearful that the replacement photograph might be detected by the customer. What effect did the picture have on the customer? The customer seemed visibly impressed. by the grandeur of the framed photograph. He felt silent like a person who had entered the sanctum of a temple. What was the customer's complaint regarding the frame? The customer complained that Datta had given him a square frame instead of the cut mount with an oval shape. ਤੇ ਦੋਸਤੋ ਐਸੇ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਲੌਂਗ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਹੈ What impression do you gather about Datta the frame maker? ਤੇ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਿਖਣਾ ਹੈ Datta was a frame maker by profession. He was the owner of the modern frameworks. The shop was like a large wooden box between a medical store and a radio repair shop. He had a curved figure. He wore silver-rimmed glasses. He was a silent and hard-working man. He gave brief answers to the questions his customers asked. He strongly discouraged casual friends who wanted to have gossip with him. He understood the psychology of the customers. He knew how to satisfy them. Some customers were eager to have their order to be carried out in time. Others did not bother. One day, Datta spoiled the photograph of customer's grandfather. He tackled the customer in a very wise manner. He gave him a square mount frame with photograph of an old man that resembled the customer's grandfather. Overall, we can say that Datta was a diligent and hard-working frame maker. How did the author describe the shop owned by Datta? Datta had given the name of the modern frameworks to his shop. In fact, the shop was an extra large wooden packing case mounted on shaky legs. It was situated in between a medical store and a radio repair shop. The size of the shop was too small to accommodate anybody else except its owner, Datta. He could always be seen surrounded by a confusion of cardboard pieces and bits of wood and glass. One could see glass sheets, box of nails, glue bottles, paint tins, and other odds and ends lying all around him. There was not an inch of space on the walls that was not covered by the pictures. In those pictures, one could see gods, saints, hockey players, children, and cheap prints of Mona Lisa. Similarly, there were photographs of the national leaders, wedding couples, and the sheets of Urdu calligraphy. In addition to it, there was a picture showing the snow-clad Japanese volcano named Fujiyama. There was a big wooden box in the shop. Datta had kept in it all the photographs that were lying unclaimed over the years. What did Datta learn by his long experience? How was his new customer different from the other ones? Datta had a long experience in dealing with his customers. He had learned a lot about their behavior. They placed orders with him for making frames for the pictures and photographs. Some of them never came punctually. They came days in advance. As the frames were not ready till then, they had to go away disappointed. Some of them never turned up at all to collect their orders. Therefore, Datta made frames for those customers who visited him at least twice before he actually executed their orders. The new customer was eager to have the frame made by Datta. He came to inquire if it was ready 4 days before the due date. He wanted to know if it would be ready by Tuesday. Datta could make out that the new customer had a powerful attachment to the photograph. He knew that there would be trouble if he did not deliver the frame on the promised date. Datta found a solution to his problem. Did it really work for him? Justify your answer. The framed photograph of the customer's grandfather was to be delivered within next 3 days. Datta had ruined it by dropping paint on it. In his attempt to clean it, he had rubbed it with a piece of cloth. As a result, the photograph had been completely spoiled. He finally decided to replace the photograph with that of a similar looking man. The days that followed were filled with suspense and anxiety. After 2 days, the customer turned up and asked Datta if the frame was ready. The customer was much pleased to see the photo frame. The man suddenly said, "What have you done?" Datta feared that his trick has been discovered. But it was not the case. The customer told Datta that he had asked for a cut mount frame with an oval shape, but he had given him a square one. He took the photo frame and went away. So Datta's solution to the problem of his spoiled photograph worked very well.